Welcome and thank you for joining the Capita IT Professional Services webinar on Agility Essential to Digital Evolution. Before we start, a few logistical details. To avoid any sound issues, you are all on mute. If for any reason you're not, please select the option on your phone. Also, for privacy purposes, all attendees' names are hidden and you will not be able to see anyone else but you. For questions, you will be able to ask them at the end during our Q&A via the chat box on your screen. During this session, we will share real-life client examples of how we deliver digital transformation, discussing the challenges we faced and how we overcame these. Please welcome Robbie Batty and Jodie Cox.
Thanks, Hannah. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's webinar. I'm joined today by Jodie Cox, and the two of us will be taking you through our experience within digital transformation and provide you with some insights to some successes we've had. We'll also be discussing the importance of true agility in the modern world and why it's crucial to be able to respond to change quickly. So Jodie, maybe it'd be good to let the audience know a bit of your background. Could you just give me a minute intro to who you are, please?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. So I'm Jodie Cox. I've been working in the IT digital space for around 16 years. Recently hold the post of a head of digital for a disruptive startup, which was part of the UK government-sponsored Digital Catapult. And I've just recently rejoined Capita, having worked here previously for quite a few years.
Thanks, Jodie, and welcome back. To best introduce myself, I'm Robbie Batty. I've been working in IT digital consultancy roles for the last 20 years, collaborating and delivering change as part of big teams. I'm a strong advocate and believer in collaboration and communication as the main drivers for agile practices. But enough about us. Let's get down to why we're all here today. We're going to talk about digital evolution, what it is, what it means, why it's important, and how agility is a pinnacle requirement for success. Jodie, could you just give me a couple of words describing what digital evolution means to you?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Rob. So in the last few years, we've seen an explosion of technologies, such as mobile, social media, IoT, and big data. These new technologies are creating a huge number of opportunities, however, so that they're also creating threats for most businesses. And more is still to come with the business applications of drones, robotics, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, etc., which will continue to drive transformation elements within businesses. The focus these days is on digital adaptation, customer experience, which is core, and developing new business models based on these emerging trends.
Thanks, Jodie. So we know that there have been winners and losers.
Of course, if you only have to go back to look at Blockbuster and the modern-day successes of Airbnb, Uber, etc. So today, being able to be responsive is critical. In fact, dictionary publisher Collins announced Uberization as one of the top 10 words of the year 2016. So this really shows how prevalent disruption is in our modern world. Digital evolution is really driving the way we engage and interact with our customers, as well as enhancing the way we, as consumers, interact with the world around us.
So in a nutshell, digital evolution is not just social, web, mobile factors, but the extension and future trend technologies that will influence businesses for the next generation.
Yep, absolutely, Rob. But in order to embrace the changing landscape and respond as an organisation, we need to have in place the correct processes, culture, technology and people in order to stay competitive. I think we all know this is especially difficult for legacy organisations who these days need to compete with organisations born of the digital age, which are not constrained by technology.
We've seen this a lot in recent years, and commonly the challenges we've seen are lack of velocity, agility, issues with technology, lack of the right people with the right skills, non-embracing culture, poor data, lack of security, to name a few. These have always been the factors, in fairness, to get right, but more so now than ever, this is of vital importance.
I couldn't agree more, Rob. So is it possible to get digital delivery right? Well, we recently worked on a digital transformation programme for Southampton City Council, where in fact enhancing the way customers interact and being more efficient were the drivers. The collaborative work we did with Southampton led to our recognition at the Agile Awards, winning Best Public Sector Project.
Okay, so how was the successful delivery achieved?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think we really managed to embrace agility, but kind of the key to that was working as one team.
Sounds great, but what does it mean?
Well, agility means lots of things to lots of people, but really in this instance, delivering change quickly and gracefully. But there's kind of a lot more to it than that. At an organisational level, we need to have the ability to adapt and change with a suitable level of governance that still empowers our employees. At project level, we need to collaboratively question, learn and deliver in a way that supports rapid change. Having the ability to respond to threats or opportunities that business may face is key to survival, and in turn, this means it's all about the customer experience.
Very true. In fact, I've got a nice example of agility that recently happened. So on the 11th of December, a Twitter user sent Elon Musk the following tweet.
Right, well, Musk has a lot of Twitter users, doesn't he?
Yeah, and the user tweeted to Elon Musk that users were using Tesla superchargers as free parking spots, leaving their cars on the chargers even after they were fully charged. For a man like Elon Musk, it would have been quite easy for this to get lost in his to-do list.
But exactly 6 days later, news emerged of a change that had been rolled out. Tesla were going to charge 40 cents for every minute a fully charged Tesla would stand at its parking stations, after a 5-minute grace period.
It's a simple change, but the outcome would ensure that people would wouldn't leave their cars at parking stations, preventing other users from using them.
And what's incredible is the pace at which the product change was implemented. Tesla might still call itself a startup, but it hardly is one. It has over 30,000 employees and large engineering teams. To have a product feature conceptualized, implemented, and shipped in 6 days is a true show of the power of agility.
So, you mentioned agility as being quick and graceful. I think that describes it beautifully, and that's what we all want to aspire to. It's not a simple task, and it requires robust technology supported by great people. So, Jody, where would we start?
Okay, well, let's go back to the recent work we did with Southampton, and let's start with what we achieved together collaboratively. Because at the end of the day, what matters now is what the Council can do now. So through this transformation programme, the Council were able to move nearly all of the city's municipal services online. The successful digital uptake online has resulted in faster self-service and streamlined internal business operations, making the Council more efficient, resulting in a better customer experience all round.
Yeah, and to add to that, Jody, as part of that transformation, the Council is now able to deliver change into life every 2 weeks through continuous delivery. The takeaway from that is that the Council can respond rapidly to any changes that will occur, not just now, but in the future. And it's having that platform that enables them to deliver their business cases, business benefits and outcomes. I suspect it was no easy journey, though.
No, absolutely. I mean, what really happened is that we worked with the Council when we really came together as a team to improve the way that delivery was carried out. In fact, from day one, the team was so focused on doing Scrum, this was hindering delivering anything.
Okay, we've seen that before on other projects. And yeah, it's very easy for people to get caught up in trying to be agile, that you lose sight of what it is you're trying to achieve. How did we move away from this, Jody?
Well, there's no silver bullets, no rocket science. You know what really made the difference?
Go on.
Just talking. Just for people to understand their perceived and actual blockers to deliver the outcomes. For example, we found that off-site working for meetings are actually productive, as the environment they normally work in is constrained by the office culture. And this allowed people to break their barriers and discuss and collaborate openly. Bizarrely, this small shift in behaviour had a momental effect on the team and its working productivity.
Okay, meaning the team was freed from its cultural, environmental state, or another way of putting it, transformed. This alone surely did not allow agility to happen.
No, you're quite right, but it enabled the team to write its own agile manifesto that worked for the organisation. Sometimes it's just too easy to follow the rule book, and actually what really should happen, there needs to be a set of principles that apply to the individual team or organisation, not from a book that's 15 years old. And this is an important point, and this enabled us to get what I call brilliant basics right.
Like that term, Jody. Do you know what? It's so easy to get overwhelmed by the scale of some transformation projects that often the most important starting place, irrespective, is those basics or brilliant basics.
Absolutely, Rob. So without boring you, and of course wary of the fact there is a thing called the internet, let me just quickly explain what I mean. So the first thing we did was ring-fence the BA team to work with the business stakeholders and create a better form product backlog. We then translated those requirements into meaningful user stories with acceptance criteria. And this was the key of being able to articulate how the business will measure success. We then worked with the council to ensure a set of product managers were engaged in the programme. Again, something so often overlooked, but which is crucial to bridging the communication gap between IT business, driving confidence and driving collaboration. We facilitated sprint planning sessions for all team members, stakeholders to articulate and discuss, agree relative complexity of stories. We also began tracking cadence.
Glad you said that. I struggle with that word. So cadence, I guess, would give us a predictable delivery velocity and enable the team to increase their understanding of the volume of work that they could accomplish during each sprint. But was there anything else, Jody?
Yeah, of course. So the next move was to implement aspects of behaviour-driven delivery. Now, what I mean by that is how we will ensure we develop and deliver what is desired. Now, we did this to deliberately discover implicit outcomes in each story that had not necessarily been articulated, to guide implementation, to assist DevOps, and to provide a means to run automated regression tests on an ad hoc basis.
That sounds like an important basic, or brilliant basic, as we've termed it earlier, in terms of a journey to agility. So how many times do we hear people talking about automated regression testing, but rarely do we see it executed that well? I guess, Jody, in essence, agility enables the ability to react to change and deliver with the confidence that systems will still work and the customer experience won't be damaged.
Yeah, exactly. And there are many ways, again, of achieving this. And again, the approach needs to be worked out by the team or organisation. In this instance, the team selected Cucumber.js coupled with Selenium WebDriver as their combined BDD and functional automation frameworks of choice. Cucumber.js uses JavaScript, and this is a natural fit for Southampton Council, where a notable portion of their modern code base is written in such.
You can tell he's reading the scripture.
So, aligning technology makes sense. How did that positively affect delivery?
Well, quite dramatically. The outcome of the approach was a successful on-time release from development and system testing, containing 0 known defects across the provided solution. There was full stakeholder buy-in to this new approach, which subsequently ensured a smooth transition through acceptance into production.
So all of this could not have happened overnight. We can't have gotten it right first time. What did we learn? How did we correct the path? What could people take away from this?
And that's kind of interesting. I think our learning probably began on previous projects with other customers. Firstly, you need to find the right starting point, because you can't just wake up one day or set a date when an organisation is going to become agile.
Yeah, agreed.
In a previous project, our starting point happened as a conversation of 3 team members that had the passion and desire to do things better. This passion was infectious, and it did not take long for the rest of the team to buy in. And this kind of started a cultural shift. So I think everyone needs to identify a good starting point.
Go on. So what was the starting point at the council for change?
Well, at Southampton Council, collaboratively, we began to realise that we couldn't work as a supplier and client. We needed the freedom to collaborate openly. It's important not to intentionally put a layer of management in which stops people communicating, because frequent collaboration is vital. We learned that the sooner we engage with the council services, the better the quality outcome was, and the higher frequency of engagement, the better the likely outcome.
Sounds like another brilliant basic.
Absolutely. And this led to a fantastic working relationship between Capita and council staff, which in turn enabled open conversation and enabled the one team. This is pinnacle to success on any journey towards agility. Technology can enable most things these days. If you can imagine it, it's probably possible. But with people, it's different. By allowing openness, collaboration, value of individuals' voice, this drives trust and confidence, which are crucial to successful teams.
Good point. In fact, in a recent research conducted by Google, they identified psychological safety as being the top characteristic that was prevalent in their high-performing teams. By this, they meant members feel they can be vulnerable. They know their ideas and opinions will be respected and considered, even when they conflict with those of the rest of the team. This is only possible through collaboration, open communication, and that will lead to innovation.
I agree. So in that case, why is agility essential for digital evolution, Rob?
Well, we only look at the example given earlier. A customer complained about Tesla charging spots being used as car parking spaces. Tesla had the agility, though, to respond to that and implement a change. Not only did that enhance customer satisfaction and customer experience, but from a Tesla perspective, it showed them as being responsive, listening, and most importantly, caring about their customers. This change would not have been possible without brilliant basics being in place. So, thank you everyone. We've come to the end, or the beginning, depending on your mindset. As it is lunchtime, most of you will be thinking of food, so we have some takeaway options for you to consider. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jodie and Robbie, for your time today. Now we're going to take a few questions from the audience. Firstly, we have a question from Sarah. You've talked a lot about people. Are you saying people are the most important factor?
I'll take this, Jodie. So I think so. Look, I've worked in waterfall engagements, iterative engagements, agile ones. All the successful programs and projects was down to having strong performing teams. Agile, BDD, Scrum, it won't work unless you've got good people. And it's the same on waterfall. So just doing Agile or BDD doesn't guarantee any success. The most important thing is the people.
Brilliant. Thank you, Robbie. So we have a question from Carlton. What are the necessities for a successful and effective Agile team?
Being open, communicating, collaborating, working together. Again, going back to basics, people have their roles, and it's giving people the opportunity within that team for them to deliver, to be most productive. And the way that we've worked within Agile teams and with BDD, that encourages and drives good behaviour of people collaborating, working, knowing what the outcomes are, and then being able to deliver them. And I think we only have to look at some of the engagements we've done. I've worked on some really big waterfall engagements. You know, after 9 months, you're going to deliver at the end. It's a long way. A lot can happen in that time. But, you know, what we like about some of the engagements we've done in the Agile and BDD space is that we've been able to deliver change on a weekly, on a fortnightly, or a monthly basis. You know, people are passionate about their jobs, but, you know, we want to see output, productivity, results, and
this kind of quickly improves stakeholder acceptance and appreciation, and they quickly get behind these kind of projects.
Yeah.
And I think we all know that with the waterfall methodology, there's been so many failures that people are just kind of negative towards it these days.
Success breeds on success. If you can deliver change, deliver outcomes, make people's lives better every 2 weeks, I don't know, I'd feel more motivated in an environment like that.
Right, we just had a question come through saying, what kind of person role makes an effective Scrum Master?
I'm not going to lie, a good leader. I think there's a distinction between people who manage and people who lead.
Yeah.
So what's a good leader? A good leader is someone who motivates people, gets the best out of them. We're all different people. We've all got different strengths and weaknesses. To me, a manager will just manage everyone the same. A leader coaxes, treats people in a certain way.
Drives, deals with issues quickly, collaborates openly, works as a team again. It's back to that.
Yeah.
It's not about managing. It's about someone that can handle parts of that project team, the issues, take them away from the team, get them dealt with.
Creating the environment where you solve problems as a team. It takes more than one person. So I think, yeah, people who would make good Scrum Masters, product managers, etc., are your natural leaders in your organisation.
Yeah. You kind of have to identify them yourselves as organisations to work out who the best people are to fulfil.
I think in this environment, those people will shine and come through naturally.
Exactly.
This type of environment that we're talking about, where you're open and collaborative, people, your natural leaders will come through.
Thank you, Robbie. Is there a tool you can recommend to manage Agile teams, i.e. Jira?
So
we've used Jira. It's a pretty good product.
we've used TFS as well. I'll tell you what, so that this is not a memory contest, we can, after this, we can share the technologies that we've used. But a question back to everyone on this call, I'd like to know what technologies that you're using. I won't profess that we know everything, and another great thing about having these sessions is the sharing of ideas in both ways.
So keep coming through, so we have a bit more time. Do you think CI/CD is vital for agile deliveries?
I would say yes.
It's essential for agility, because involving DevOps and your test automation, if you're going to make changes quickly, you need to have the confidence that the product you're going to release to live is of suitable quality, that it's not going to affect your overall customer experience, be that external customer or your own internal employees. So as a modern working way, it is one of the better ways of doing this these days.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I'll leave it at that.
We have another question. Moving to an agile approach can be a massive leap of faith. How did you sell this revised approach to project management to Southampton City Council and overcome principled for historic methodology?
Well, we've actually got on the line Colin Deedy, who's head of our BDD practice that worked on that engagement. So maybe Colin would be better placed to answer that question.
Hello, Jodie. Hello, Robbie. Is my voice coming through?
It is,
yes,
yeah.
it is.
Hello, everyone. So, yes, Colin Deedy here. So, I work a lot on the Southampton project alongside Capita Transformation, who are the lead Capita company there. And really, to get project managers to understand, to buy in was an education exercise. So it's all about risk and risk mitigation and risk management. So if we have a new methodology, whatever that might be, it doesn't necessarily have to be agile, then you're taking initially a leap of faith. So you want to see some metrics, you want to see some stats, you want to see progress, you want to basically have some way of understanding that what is about to be delivered is likely to be in line with the requirements, the milestone criteria, your endpoint, your delivery. So very, very early on in Southampton, we did three things. We immediately put tracking in place so that we could actually see burn down through user journeys. We could see burn down through associated KPIs as well, so we could see exactly where we are at all times. The second thing we did was we ensured that product owners, project managers were directly involved and had open access to Scrum teams and to team members therein. And that meant that people could have much closer working relationships. We did things like making sure our storyboards weren't tucked away behind Jira, for example. And there was an earlier question about what tools would we recommend. My number one go-to tool is a whiteboard, because a whiteboard, giant, massive whiteboard in the middle of the office, showing where you are at any one stage is incredibly visible, is incredibly powerful. So we got people involved in that way. The third thing we did as well was we accepted and took on board any comments, any concerns, any criticisms, and we looked to work with the Southampton and Capita teams to ensure that we overcame those and we actually agreed ways forward. And that meant if something did come up, and it wasn't perfect, every now and again something would, we would have a conversation, we agree a way forward, and everyone would be happy with the outcome. And that's the really most important thing, is that collaboration, that openness.
Thank you, Colin. That's brilliant.